Hello guys, let's talk about the cell differentiation. This is the subtopic which we are going to discuss about the say about cell and the organization. So differentiation of cell is basically the process by which cells are specified to perform particular functions is what we call this is cell differentiation or division of labor within the organism. Now, when most cells have finished dividing themselves, they become specialized. When they finish dividing themselves, it means in various processes like uh, meiosis and mitosis. So these processes, after they finish the dividing, they become specialized to various places. Now, this means that they do one particular job. Means that some of the cells are specialized to certain kind of a certain system, and also they develop a distinct shape that can be known or is familiar to a given kind of a system or a function that cell is going to do. And also the special kinds of chemical change take place in their cytoplasm. This is also observed after they finish the dividing so that it can have or can occupy these various chemical changes according to their various functions. So similarly, the special functions of mitochondria, ribosomes, and other cell organelles may be termed as the division of labor within the cell. So that's just all about the cell differentiation. Jumping to the other topic, today we are going to talk about the classification, starting with the concept of classification. The organism can be sorted out, placed in different groups based on their similarities and also their differences. Now, the system of sorting out and placing these organisms into different groups on the basis of their similarities and the differences is what we call the classification of these organisms. Now, basically, there are two types of classification. These systems, the first one is the artificial classification system, and the second one is the natural classification system. In the artificial classification system is based on a few observable, easily characteristics, and is usually designed for practical purpose with an emphasis on the convenience and the simplicity. Advantages of this type of system is that it is easy to classify organisms since it is based on a few observable characteristics or only the external features that can be seen by our eyes. The second one is that it doesn't take much time to classify organisms based on this system. So simply is that it is not time consuming as a person can just observe from his own or perspective to see what features does that kind of an organism have. And the third one is that it doesn't need the expertise, simply because you can see. So whatever you can say about what you see, whatever features you can classify together, the organism is what we call this the artificial system of classification. Their disadvantages is that it's inaccurate since it tends to place closely related organisms into different groups instead of being grouped together. Also, different or unrelated organisms may be placed in the same group just because of only observing the external features. So they can be mistake in classifying the organisms. Example, birds are placed in the group of birds while they are supposed to be placed in a group of mammals. The second one is that it's less informative since it observes only external or easily observable features. So we can't get a clear picture or we can't get more information regarding the organism. Let's see the natural system of classification. In this type of classification, it tries to use the natural relationships between organisms. So it goes deeper to classifying organism according even to their nature. Also, it considers many features in common, including internal as well as the external features. So it clarifies all the internal and the external features to know what are the similarities and the differences. And the similarity of embryology, morphology, anatomy, biochemistry, cell structure, and behavior are also considered relevant. So these are other fields of study about the organisms are also considered so as to have a clear classification of these organisms. So it is based on also on the evolutionary relationship in which organisms belonging to the same group are believed to have a common ancestor. So all these are just how natural system of classification can be based on. Its advantage is that it's accurate since related organisms are placed in the same group. Also, even the unrelated organisms cannot be placed in the same group. This means that both the internal and the external features are observed clearly to classify the organisms. The second one, it reflects the evolutionary relationships as the ancestors of the organisms are clearly observed. The third one is that it's much informative since it observes both internal and the external features. So you can get a clear picture since you have more of information about the both internal and the external features of such organisms. The disadvantages are that the first one is that it is difficult since it considers many features. Going deeper to observe the internal features, it gets to be tiresome and it is a little bit difficult. The second one is that it requires expertise. This means that more knowledge about an organism. So only few of the expertise or the people who have studied about this stuff can classify the organisms. Not anybody could do it. So it requires this expertise. The third one is that it's time consuming since you have to go to all the features without leaving any trace of error in order to get the clear or accurate classifying of these organisms. The other one is that it is relatively unstable. This means that it changes from time to time. These changes occur since due to the studying of the internal features, more discovery or the recovery or knowing or the knowledge obtained can be after some time. So people can get various knowledge of the internal features. So leads to various changes. The last one, it is more expensive since more data are required and the data can be collected, can need a certain kind of expenses to collect the data. Let's see there are differences between these two, natural and the artificial classification. The first one in artificial classification, we've seen that it considers few features in common, which are basically external features, while natural classification considers many features in common, both internal and the external features. The second one is that the artificial classification doesn't reflect on the evolutionary relationships, while natural it reflects on these evolutionary relationships. The third one is that it is easy to classify this artificial classification since anyone can do it and it only observes the external features, while in natural classification it is difficult to classify since it needs a little bit of time to observe both the internal and the external features. The fourth one is that artificial classification is not that time consuming as a person can go through the observable features very quickly, while the natural classification it requires time, so it is time consuming as a person has to go both the internal and the external features. The fifth one is that it doesn't require expertise in terms of artificial classification, while the natural requires this expertise. And the last one that new information cannot be added in the artificial classification since you observe on the external features. So it means that what you see today can be the same even tomorrow. So there are no changes and is easily recognizable. while the natural classification, the new information can be added, so it lead to changes after time to time. So that's all. Thank you for listening.